The sky above Orion's edge was already strange that morning. Twin suns glared weakly through a thin layer of alien clouds, casting a pale orange haze over the mining colony. Most of the colonists were accustomed to the eerie light and occasional tremors from beneath the planet's crust, but something felt different. Captain Elias Kane squinted at the horizon from the observation deck, his boots creaking on the metal grating. A faint hum rippled through the air, not the wind, not the drills, but something else. His fingers tightened around the railing. "See that?" he muttered, pointing to a pinpoint of movement far above the valley. The colonists' chatter stopped abruptly. Heads turned. The movement wasn't random, it was deliberate, descending fast. Dr. Mara Voss, the colony's lead xenobiologist, adjusted her goggles and frowned. "It's huge. Not like any asteroid I've ever seen." The object plunged through the clouds with unnatural grace, leaving a trail of glowing particles behind it. Its shape became clearer as it drew near, long, sinuous, scales glinting with a strange iridescence that shifted colors in the sunlight. A dragon. Not a creature from Earth, but an alien species that seemed born from the sky itself. Its wings, massive and membranous, stretched like sails, and its eyes, bright gold with vertical slits, scanned the colony with intelligence that sent shivers down the spine of every observer. The crowd of miners and engineers froze, caught between fear and awe. Elias gritted his teeth. "Everyone, stay calm. Keep your distance. Don't provoke it." But curiosity won over caution. Children peered from behind their parents, miners whispered guesses about alien legends, and Mara moved closer to the edge, unable to tear her eyes away. The dragon landed in the valley near the crystal-rich rock formations the colony had been mining for years. Dust and debris exploded outward with the force of its landing, shaking the ground beneath their feet. The dragon's talons dug into the soil, leaving deep gouges. Its tail lashed back and forth, sweeping aside rocks like kindling. Elias took a step forward, heart pounding. "We need to know what it wants." Kael'thar, as Mara later named it, after a word she had read in a forgotten alien text meaning messenger of fire, lowered its massive head. From its maw, it exhaled a plume of vapor that glowed faintly blue, swirling with sparks. Then, almost deliberately, it extended one claw and dropped a small object onto the ground in front of the colony. The object was crystalline, about the size of a human fist. It shimmered with an inner light, pulsing like a heartbeat. The moment it touched the soil, a low, resonant hum filled the valley, vibrating through bones and steel alike. Even the automated drills on the far side of the colony trembled. No one moved at first. Elias glanced at Mara. She swallowed hard, her eyes wide. It's a gift. Or a warning. I can't tell yet." The dragon's gaze lingered on the colony, and for a long moment, it seemed aware of every heart, every hesitation. Then, without another sound, Kael'thar spread its wings and rose into the sky. Dust swirled violently around the landing site as it disappeared into the clouds, leaving only the humming crystal behind. Elias crouched cautiously, signaling a small team to approach. Each step toward the crystal felt heavier, like gravity had grown denser. When he reached it, the pulse of energy washed over him, filling his mind with images he couldn't comprehend, distant worlds, roaring skies, and fire that seemed alive. He stumbled back, shaking his head. It's calling to us. But why?" Mara knelt beside him, placing her hand near, but not on, the crystal. "It's responding to thought. I can feel it. Whoever or whatever dropped this, wants contact. And I don't think it's the only one out there." A sudden rumble made them all freeze. This time, it wasn't the dragon, it was coming from the horizon, a deep, rolling sound that grew louder by the second. Something massive moved in the distance, casting a long shadow across the valley. The colonists' fear returned in waves. "Elias, we need defenses ready," Mara whispered, her voice tight. "Something is coming." Elias nodded, scanning the valley. His crew scrambled to their posts, activating laser turrets and emergency shields, while the hum from the crystal grew louder, almost as if it were responding to the approaching danger. The shadows on the hills shifted, and then they saw it, massive shapes moving with predatory precision. Kael'thar's gift, whatever it truly was, had drawn attention. And now, Orion's Edge was about to find out that humans were no longer the top of the food chain. Elias clenched his fists, the hum of the crystal thrumming through his veins. He didn't know if the dragon wanted to help, or if it had set a trap, but one thing was certain, the arrival of Kael'thar had changed everything. The skies above Orion's Edge darkened as the distant rumble grew into a roar, a sound no human had ever heard before. And in that moment, every colonist understood, survival would require more than courage. It would require the impossible. The valley was quiet after Kael'thar vanished, but the silence was brittle, like thin ice over a deep, dark river. Every colonist in Orion's Edge could feel it, the pulse of the crystal that lay on the scorched soil, faintly glowing, as if breathing. Captain Elias Kane paced around it, eyes sharp and wary. We don't know what it does. We don't even know if it's safe to touch. Dr. Mara Voss, kneeling beside him, didn't seem to hear. Her fingers hovered over the crystal, hesitant but drawn to it as though pulled by some invisible magnet. It's alive, Elias. Not like any organism we've catalogued. It's a living signal, maybe even sentience. Elias swallowed, his gut tightening. Or a trap. One alien is terrifying enough. We don't need more of them coming here. Mara's eyes flickered with a mixture of fear and excitement. She took a deep breath and placed her hand directly on the crystal. A surge of energy shot through her, but it wasn't painful, at least, not in the normal sense. It felt like fire under her skin, but also like ice in her bones. Her mind flashed with visions, vast alien landscapes, skies ripped by wings bigger than ships, and creatures with scales that shimmered like molten metal. She gasped, jerking her hand back. It's showing me Kael'thar's memories, or maybe its instincts. And something else. Something I can't explain yet. Elias crouched beside her, scanning the crystal cautiously. Can you control it? Can we use it? Mara shook her head. Not yet. But I think it wants to bond with someone. It responds to thought, intention. Whoever touches it, even briefly, feels connected to the dragon. As if on cue, a tremor shook the valley floor. A low, distant roar echoed from the horizon, rattling every window and steel beam. The colonists froze in unison. Elias's jaw tightened. That's not Kael'thar. That's something else. And it's huge. On the horizon, shapes began to move. Massive, winged silhouettes rose from the shadows of the jagged hills, their movements coordinated, deliberate. Unlike Kael'thar, they weren't alone. A swarm of dragons, Dradons, Mara called them, swept toward the colony, their scales glinting in the pale twin sunlight. Mara stepped back from the crystal, fear replacing awe. They're responding to the crystal's activation. Elias, we've drawn them here. Panic rippled through Orion's Edge. Mining lasers were powered up, emergency shields activated, and makeshift barricades erected. Miners and engineers scrambled, grabbing what weapons they could find. The valley trembled with every beat of the Dradon's wings. Elias clenched his fists, his eyes narrowing on the distant shapes. Everyone, hold your positions. Don't fire until I give the order. Mara's mind was racing. She glanced at Elias, a dangerous idea forming. If we bond with it, if we use the crystal, maybe we can fight them on even ground. But I don't know what it will do to us. Elias's gaze fell on her. We don't have a choice. If they reach the colony, there won't be an Orion's Edge left to save. He gestured toward the crystal. We try it. Carefully. One at a time. Mara nodded, swallowing her fear. She touched the crystal again. This time, the energy flowed through her like liquid fire, filling her lungs, racing down her arms and legs. She staggered but didn't fall. Her vision blurred and then sharpened beyond normal human limits. She could see the valley as Kael'thar might see it. The wind, the dust, the motion of every creature approaching, every shadow shifting. Elias watched, heart pounding. What do you feel? I feel him. Kael'thar. And I feel them, the Dradons. They're coming faster now, drawn by the crystal's energy. But I think I can fight them. Elias hesitated, then placed his hand on the crystal. A surge of fire and ice coursed through him. Pain, yes, but clarity too. His senses expanded, and for the first time, he could feel the air, the ground, even the heartbeat of the approaching Dradons. He opened his eyes, staring down the valley. We can see them coming. We can anticipate their moves. If we act as one, maybe we can survive. From the horizon, the first Dradon let out a scream, a sound that shook the air and rattled the colony. It spread its wings, scales glittering like molten steel, and dove toward the colony at terrifying speed. Brace yourselves. Elias shouted. Everyone, fire on my mark. Lasers and automated turrets opened fire. The first Dradon dodged with impossible agility, the energy from the crystal guiding Elias's movements. He ducked, rolled, and fired, matching the alien speed with a precision no human should have had. Mara's enhanced senses allowed her to predict the creature's trajectory, guiding a turret to intercept another. The valley erupted into chaos, light, fire, and the screams of both humans and Dradons filled the air. But amidst the chaos, the crystal pulsed, brighter now, as if feeding on the bond between human and dragon. Elias realized something terrifying and thrilling. This was only the beginning. The gift Kael'thar left wasn't just a weapon. It was a connection. A partnership. A chance for humans to stand against creatures that had been gods in the skies of other worlds. And if they failed, there would be nothing left to save. The valley trembled like a living thing. The twin suns were swallowed by shadows as the Dradon swarm descended, each creature larger and deadlier than the last. Their wings tore through the air, stirring dust, debris, and panic across Orion's edge. Captain Elias Kane stood at the edge of the central platform, crystal in hand. His heartbeat echoed in his ears, amplified by the pulse that now thrummed through his veins. Around him, colonists scrambled, firing every weapon they had, mining lasers, makeshift railguns, even improvised incendiary devices, but the Dradons didn't hesitate. Their scales shimmered, deflecting energy bursts, and their claws and teeth were like jagged steel. "Hold the line," Elias shouted. "Don't let them reach the colony's core." Dr. Mara Voss, moving with uncanny agility, had already begun guiding a small squad of miners who had dared to touch the crystal. Each pulse of energy from it made them faster, stronger, and eerily synchronized, almost as if Kael'thar himself were lending them his instincts. The first Dradon, a beast with scales of dark silver and wings like jagged sails, dove toward the energy shield surrounding the main habitat dome. Its roar was deafening, vibrating through metal and bone alike. Elias's eyes widened as he realized he could anticipate its movement. The crystal's connection allowed him to feel the alien's intent. He sidestepped just in time, rolling as the creature slammed into the shield. Sparks and molten metal flew in every direction. "Keep firing," Elias yelled, heart hammering. Every instinct told him where the Dradon would strike next. With a synchronized volley from human and automated weapons, the creature screeched in pain, retreating only momentarily before regrouping with its kin. Mara's squad, now bonded through the crystal, moved like a single organism. One miner ducked under a sweeping claw, another vaulted over debris, all of them guided by some shared rhythm of survival. "We can't just survive," Mara shouted. "We have to push them back. Now." From the valley edge, more Dradons emerged, larger, faster, more cunning. They weren't mindless predators, they coordinated, circling the colony, probing for weaknesses. Elias realized the swarm was intelligent, likely sensing the crystal's energy and trying to isolate it. He pointed to a gap in the formation. "Mara, cover the eastern flank. Jax and I will draw them toward the ridge." Jax, a young miner barely in his 20s, had touched the crystal only moments ago. His body glowed faintly with the same energy, and his eyes had taken on a golden hue. Fear was written on his face, but so was determination. "Lead the way," he shouted. The three of them sprinted across the open valley floor, dodging claws, fire, and debris. The Dradons followed, wings slicing the air, talons tearing through rock. Elias could feel the energy from the crystal reacting violently, almost urging him forward, syncing his heartbeat with the creatures around him. Suddenly, one Dradon split from the swarm, charging straight at Jax. Time seemed to slow. Elias lunged, grabbing Jax just as the alien's claws swiped past them, gouging a trench into the valley floor. The crystal pulsed, and for a fleeting moment, Jax's body emitted a brilliant aura. He rose instinctively, moving with speed and precision no human should possess, narrowly evading another attack. Mara watched in awe and horror. It's amplifying their physical and mental abilities, but it's dangerous. If they overextend, they could burn out, or worse. Another roar shook the valley. Elias's eyes darted to the remaining Dradons. Their wings darkened the sun, creating shadows that danced like living specters. The swarm surged, their coordinated attack threatening to overwhelm the colony's defenses. Then came a sound that froze everyone in place, a deep, resonant call, unmistakably alien. The ground vibrated as a massive shape descended behind the swarm. Kael'thar had returned. His scales glimmered in shifting hues of gold and blue, wings cutting through the air with a force that sent shockwaves across the battlefield. The Dradons faltered for the first time. Their coordinated assault broke into chaos as Kael'thar unleashed a thunderous roar. The crystal pulsed violently, and the humans who had touched it felt a surge of power unlike anything before. Elias gritted his teeth. "Now! Strike while they are disoriented." The colony's defenders, guided by the crystal's energy and Kael'thar's presence, launched a counterattack. Laser fire met talons mid-air, explosives detonated at precise moments, and the humans moved as though they were extensions of the dragon's will. Jax, still glowing with energy, led a squad to flank the swarm. Every strike, every movement, was amplified by the crystal's pulse. The Dradons, though fierce and intelligent, began to retreat, unable to anticipate the combined assault of human and dragon. Mara's voice cut through the chaos. "We did it, for now." But Elias didn't lower his weapon. The swarm was broken, but far from destroyed. More could come. The valley was littered with smoke, fire, and the remnants of alien claws and scales. And somewhere in the distance, another roar, fainter, but unmistakable, echoed across the horizon. Kael'thar landed near Elias and Mara, tail curling protectively around the crystal. His golden eyes met Elias's, and for the first time, Elias understood. The dragon's gift wasn't just the crystal. It was the bond, the connection, the shared instinct that could make humans something more than prey. But as the dust settled, one undeniable truth hung over the valley: the Dradons weren't finished. They were coming back. And next time, Orion's Edge might not survive. The valley of Orion's Edge was quiet now, but the silence was uneasy. Smoke still curled from scorched ground, and debris from destroyed Dradons littered the outskirts of the colony. The twin suns cast a pale, trembling light across the settlement, revealing the damage the swarm had inflicted. Captain Elias Kane stood near the crystal, his eyes fixed on its pulsing glow. Kael'thar crouched beside him, massive wings folded, eyes scanning the horizon as if expecting more attackers. The dragon's presence alone made the colonists feel both awe and fear, yet the crystal's power was now undeniable. Dr. Mara Voss approached, notebook clutched in her hands, though her attention was on the crystal. "It's not just a weapon," she said. "It's a bond. Whoever touches it can channel Kael'thar's instincts, anticipate movement, react faster, even enhance strength and perception. But it's not permanent. Too much use could overwhelm a person's body or mind." Elias frowned. "How long before the Dradons come back?" Mara hesitated. "Hours? Days? We don't know. But I've seen enough to know we can't rely on luck. We have to train. We have to bond with the crystal, learn to move as one with it. Otherwise, Orion's Edge won't survive the next wave." A group of miners and engineers gathered, many of them still shaken by the earlier attack. Among them, Jack stood out. His golden eyes, still faintly glowing, followed every movement of the crystal. He had survived the first attack, but barely, and the energy coursing through him had left marks, a faint burn on his forearm and a lingering thrum in his veins. Elias addressed the group. "This crystal saved lives today. If we understand it, we can survive. If we ignore it, we die. I don't care who's afraid. Touch it. Feel it. Learn it. We either fight together, or we fall alone." One by one, the colonists stepped forward, hands trembling, touching the crystal. Each reaction was different. Some staggered backward, overwhelmed by the surge of energy. Others, like Jax, absorbed it and moved with a grace that seemed impossible, dodging debris and anticipating every step. Mara recorded every detail, noting the differences in physical and mental response. "You see," she said. "The crystal is amplifying instinct, not just muscle. Humans can fight like Dradons, if they bond, if they trust it, and trust themselves." Elias tested it himself. He felt the pulse of Kael'thar's essence, a rhythm that matched the dragon's heartbeat. Suddenly, the world slowed, not time itself, but perception. He could see every tiny movement in the valley, the dust swirling, a bird's shadow flitting across the ridge, even the faint tremor of the next Dradon wing beat. His body moved without thought, responding instinctively to each imagined threat. Kael'thar let out a low rumble, almost a purr, and Elias understood. The dragon wasn't just lending power, it was teaching them, guiding them, sharing the instincts of a predator born to dominate the skies. Mara nodded. "It's a teacher, yes. But we have to respect it. Abuse it, and it could destroy us from the inside out. The bond is as much mental as physical." Training continued through the day, each colonist pushing themselves further. Some failed, collapsing in exhaustion after minutes of connection. Others improved, moving with fluidity that was almost terrifying. Mara realized that the strongest ones were not necessarily the toughest or fastest, they were the ones who trusted their instincts in each other. By evening, Elias stood on a ridge overlooking the valley. The crystal lay at his feet, pulsing softly. Kael'thar perched nearby, massive shadows stretching across the ground, wings flexing in the dying light. Elias felt the bond now as a constant thrum in his chest, a rhythm that made him feel invincible yet aware of every danger. Mara joined him, eyes scanning the horizon. "They'll come back," she said softly. "And next time, they'll be smarter, faster, more coordinated. The first attack was a test. The next one, they'll come for the crystal itself." Elias clenched his fists. "Then we'll be ready. We'll fight with Kael'thar, with the crystal, and with each other. Orion's edge won't fall, not while we can fight." A faint hum began in the valley, subtle at first, growing steadily. The colonists froze. The crystal's pulse intensified, thrumming like a warning drum. Kael'thar's eyes glowed gold. He spread his wings, and the air vibrated with the force of his power. The dragon's roar echoed across the valley, a signal and a promise at once. Mara's voice trembled as she whispered, "It's starting. They're coming." Elias looked down at the glowing crystal. "Then we fight," he said. His eyes met Kael'thar's, and in that silent moment, a pact was made. Humans and dragon, bonded by fire and instinct, ready to face a force that had never faced resistance before. From the ridge, the valley seemed peaceful, but Elias knew better. Shadows stirred on distant hills. Shapes moved in the fading light. The Dradon swarm had not forgotten them, and the true test of Orion's edge was only just beginning. The crystal pulsed brighter, as if responding to their resolve. And as night fell over the valley, Elias felt a certainty he had never known. Survival was no longer about strength alone. It was about unity, human and dragon, bonded by a gift that could change the course of the war to come. And in the darkness beyond the colony, the first hints of a new threat began to stir. The night over Orion's edge was unusually still, but every colonist knew better. The quiet was not peace, it was the calm before the storm. From the ridge, Captain Elias Kane and Dr. Mara Voss watched the horizon, where the faint glow of distant eyes reflected off the rocks. Kael'thar's massive form loomed beside them, wings folded but tense, like a coiled spring ready to strike. The crystal lay between Elias's hands, pulsing in time with the dragon's heartbeat. Every colonist who had touched it glowed faintly with its energy, their bodies and senses sharpened, attuned to Kael'thar's instincts. "This is it," Elias said, voice low but steady. "They're coming in force. Every Dradon we've seen, multiplied." Mara shivered. "And smarter. They won't repeat the mistakes of the first attack. This is their full assault. We won't just survive, we have to dominate." A distant roar rolled across the valley. The first wave of Dradons emerged from the shadows. Dozens, maybe hundreds, each larger and fiercer than the last. Their scales gleamed like molten metal under the twin suns' faint glow, eyes fixed on Orion's edge. The swarm's intelligence was obvious. They circled the colony, searching for weaknesses, probing for the crystal. Elias turned to the colonists. "Remember your training. Trust the crystal. Trust each other. And fight as one." The air vibrated as Kael'thar spread his wings and took to the sky. The colony's defenders followed instinctively, moving as if guided by a single mind. Their connection to the crystal allowed them to anticipate the Dradon's strikes, dodge with precision, and counterattack with lethal force. The first Dradon dove at the colony's main dome. Jax, glowing golden, leapt into the air, his movements guided by the crystal. He met the beast mid-flight, dodging its claws and striking its wing with a surge of energy. Sparks flew as the alien shrieked, staggering under the assault. Mara directed a squad from the ridge, their enhanced senses predicting every move of the swarm. "Cover the eastern flank. Push them toward the canyon," she shouted. Every laser blast, every thrown charge, hit with precision, synchronized as if orchestrated by Kael'thar himself. From above, Kael'thar unleashed a roar that shook the air. Flames erupted from his maw, scorching the lead Dradons and scattering their formation. Elias felt the surge through the crystal, a tidal wave of instinct and power. He moved with the dragon's rhythm, striking, dodging, and guiding his team with unparalleled precision. The battle raged across the valley floor. Dust, fire, and alien scales filled the air. Each Dradon attack was met with coordinated resistance. Miners and engineers, once terrified civilians, now moved with the grace and skill of warriors, their bond with the crystal turning them into something beyond human. But the swarm adapted quickly. One massive Dradon, larger than any before, broke through the eastern flank. Its roar was deafening, shaking the valley. It plowed through barricades, scattering human defenders like rag dolls. Elias felt the surge of panic from the colony, but the crystal pulsed violently, anchoring his mind. He met the beast head-on, energy crackling along his arms, dodging its talons and landing strikes that wounded it, but did not stop it. Kael'thar dove, wings slicing the air like blades. The dragon clashed with the massive Dradon midair, fire and scale meeting scale. Sparks and shockwaves sent Elias and his team skidding across the valley floor, but the battle was turning. The swarm's coordination began to falter under the combined assault of humans and Kael'thar. Jax, glowing brighter than ever, leapt onto another Dradon, moving with superhuman speed. His strikes, guided by instinct, forced the alien into retreat. Mara, sensing the swarm's panic through the crystal, directed another team to flank from the north. For a brief, shining moment, the tide turned. The Dradons faltered, breaking formation as humans and dragon allies pressed their advantage. Every strike felt like a coordinated symphony of destruction. Orion's Edge had become a fortress and a weapon, powered by the bond between human and dragon. But victory came at a cost. Smoke and fire covered the battlefield. Dozens of colonists were wounded. Some, overextended by the crystal's energy, collapsed from exhaustion. Elias felt the strain in his body, the energy threatening to overwhelm him. He glanced at Kael'thar, towering, undefeated, yet weary, and understood the warning. The bond was powerful, but it had limits. As the last of the Dradons fled toward the horizon, the valley fell silent once more. The survivors stood, breathing heavily, covered in soot and blood, but victorious. Kael'thar landed in the center of the colony, his eyes scanning every human, approving their courage and bond. Mara touched the crystal one last time, feeling the ebb of its power. We did it, but this isn't over. The swarm will return, and next time, it might not be just Dradons. There's something bigger out there. Something waiting. Elias nodded, exhaustion and relief mixing in his expression. Then we'll be ready. We'll fight. And if they come again, we won't just survive. We'll win. Kael'thar let out a low, rumbling growl, a sound that resonated in every human's chest, a promise and a warning. The dragon's gift had saved them, bonded them, and transformed them. Humans had become more than prey, they had become warriors. And in the night beyond Orion's Edge, shadows moved. Shapes larger than any Dradon glimmered on distant ridges. The galaxy was watching. But for now, Orion's Edge had survived. The crystal pulsed once, then twice, as if acknowledging the victory. Elias felt its heartbeat in his own chest. The bond had been tested. The humans had endured. And the war for the skies had only just begun.